When you open a physical brick and mortar store, right, the security protocol is, well, it's incredibly straightforward.
Oh, absolutely. It's very simple.
Yeah, you have a front door, you have a physical metal key, and, when you hire someone to work the register, you just hand them a copy of that key.
Right, because it's tangible. You can physically see who holds it at any given time.
Exactly. But the moment your business grows and you step into the world of digital commerce, that simple metal key turns into this sprawling maze of digital
It
permissions.
really does. It becomes a completely different beast.
I mean, suddenly you need an assistant to process daily orders, right? Or an
Y-
outside agency to tweak your website's theme, maybe a bookkeeper to run the monthly numbers.
And that's when the panic sets in for a lot of people.
Right. You are immediately faced with a very high stakes decision. How do you hand over the keys to your digital storefront without accidentally, giving away the entire store?
Which is exactly what we're looking at today.
Yes, because our mission today is all about digital gatekeeping. We are demystifying the surprisingly complex world of Shopify admin permissions based on the guide, who gets into your Shopify admin and with what access.
And it really is a crucial topic for any store owner.
We want to give you the exact mechanics to make confident, secure decisions without feeling completely paralyzed by I think it's hundreds of different toggles sitting in your dashboard.
Yeah, the anxiety that most store owners feel when bringing on new help, it isn't actually about a lack of trust in the specific people they're hiring.
Oh, really? What is it then?
It is entirely about a lack of clarity in the system itself.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't understand the underlying architecture of how access is granted, restricted, and eventually revoked, you are essentially leaving your front door wide open.
And just hoping nobody wanders into the back office, right?
Precisely. We want to break down the logic of this architecture today so you can approach your store security strategically.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because usually the very first step we take in this whole process is it's fundamentally flawed.
Yeah, that initial request is always the trickiest part.
Right, like someone you hire sends you a quick message saying, hey, can you make me an admin so I can get to work? But admin is just a level of power.
Exactly. It is not the actual mechanism of how they get into the building.
Right, so before we even start looking at what people can do once they are inside the dashboard, we have to look at the architecture of the doors themselves.
And Shopify basically gives you two distinct doors.
Right, you've got a staff seat and you've got a collaborator account.
There's also a specific lane for point-of-sale staff, but we will focus heavily on the main two digital entrances today.
So what is the foundational difference between these two access points? Like, how do they actually work?
Well, the easiest way to conceptualize it is to look at who is initiating the access in the first place and where that access lives on your billing ledger.
Okay, let's start with the staff seat first then.
Sure. So this door is designed specifically for your internal team.
Yeah.
Your direct employees, a dedicated virtual assistant, or a warehouse packer.
People who are actually on your payroll.
Right. And when you use this mechanism, you, as the store owner, are the one sending an email invitation out to them.
Okay, I send the invite. Sounds simple enough.
It does, but here's a critical detail that catches a lot of business owners out. That invitation acts as a temporary security token.
Temporary, like it expires.
Exactly. It is only valid for exactly 7 days.
Wow, okay, so if they don't click it.
If the employee goes on vacation, say, and doesn't accept the invitation within that 1-week window, the token just expires.
So you just hit resend.
Nope, you can't just resend it. You actually have to completely remove the expired invitation from the system and start the whole generation process over again.
Oh, that's slightly annoying, but good for security, I guess.
Exactly. And structurally, a staff seat takes up a physical slot on your underlying Shopify subscription plan.
Okay, I like to think about it like building a house. So a staff seat is essentially giving an employee a permanent bedroom in your house.
That's a great way to look at it.
They are on the lease, they take up physical space, and they literally live there. And you can also grant this specific seat the administrator role, right? If you want to give them the master keys to the whole house.
You can, yeah. But the collaborator account, that second door we mentioned, it operates in complete reverse.
Okay, how so?
Well, collaborator accounts are engineered exclusively for Shopify partners. So we were talking about freelance developers, external marketing agencies, or independent design studios.
Outside contractors, basically.
Right. And you do not invite them. Instead, they request access from you.
Oh, interesting. So they knock on the door first?
But the system doesn't just let anyone knock on your digital door. To even submit a request, they need a secure, specific request code.
A code that I generate.
Yes, you generate it from your admin panel and privately hand it over to them. Then they input that code into their own partner dashboard to initiate the handshake.
Okay, that makes sense.
And from a business operations standpoint, here is the most important distinction. Collaborator accounts do not count toward your plan's user limit.
Wait, really? They are completely separate from your subscription tier.
Completely separate, yes.
So going back to the house analogy, a collaborator account is like handing a temporary contractor's badge to a plumber.
That's spot on.
They don't live in the house, they don't take up a bedroom, and the badge only lets them into the specific rooms they need to, fix the pipes.
What's fascinating here is how the system enforces baseline security across these two completely different doors.
What do you mean?
Well, for a collaborator account, two-step authentication is absolutely mandatory.
Really? Like hard-coded mandatory?
Yes, the agency cannot log into your store without passing that secondary check. It's a hard-coded requirement to protect the integrity of the broader Shopify ecosystem.
Okay, that makes me feel pretty secure about hiring outside agencies, actually.
Right, but for your own regular staff seats, mandatory two-step authentication is actually restricted to Shopify Plus.
Wait, the enterprise level tier.
Exactly. If you are on a standard plan, you can certainly encourage your internal staff to set up 2FA, but you cannot force it at a system level.
So you end up in this really ironic situation where the external contractor often has a much tighter, unyielding baseline security requirement than your own full-time internal employee.
It's totally counterintuitive, but yes, that's exactly how it works.
So the system basically trusts the outside plumber's badge more than the roommate's key. That really shifts how you have to think about account vulnerability.
It does. But assuming you've decided which door to use, we hit the next massive hurdle.
Which is...
You might look around your dashboard and realize you don't actually have any doors installed at all.
Right. This is the concept of the invisible gates from the guide.
Exactly. Before you can even configure permissions, you have to answer a foundational question. Does your current billing plan actually allow for users?
And this is a genuine shock to many new merchants, I think, when they discover the limitations of their subscription.
It is. If you are operating on the Shopify Starter or the basic plan, your allocation for internal staff seats is exactly 0.
0. You do not get a single one.
To get any internal seats, you have to move up the pricing ladder. The Grow plan gives you 5 seats, Advanced gives you 15, and only Shopify Plus gives you an unlimited number of staff seats.
Hold on, wait a second. If I'm a small business owner, right, and I am paying a monthly fee for a basic Shopify plan, I can't even hire a single virtual assistant to help me process my daily shipping labels without upgrading my entire subscription.
If you are trying to give them an internal staff seat, you are entirely blocked. Your seat count is hard capped at 0.
That feels incredibly restrictive for a platform built for growing businesses, to be honest.
Well, the business logic here is that Shopify is categorizing the need for internal staff as a signal of structural growth, which pushes you into the next pricing tier.
I mean, I get the business model, but still.
But this is exactly why understanding the underlying architecture of those two doors we just discussed is not just a technical IT exercise.
It's a financial strategy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is a vital financial strategy. You have to look at the exempt lanes.
Okay, break those down for me.
First, as the store owner, you are entirely exempt. You never count against your own limit.
Well, that's a relief.
More importantly, those collaborator accounts we just talked about, they are completely exempt from the plan limit. And the point-of-sale specific staff are also exempt.
Oh, so if I'm on the basic plan with 0 seats, an outside design agency can still come in as a collaborator, completely redesign my storefront, and leave, all without a staff seat ever existing on my ledger.
Precisely. You are maximizing the capabilities of the plan you are already paying for by matching the actual human being to the correct architectural mechanism.
Wow, so that literally saves you from upgrading unnecessarily.
It does. And there is a very practical, often overlooked warning here regarding how the system handles those seat limits if you ever decide to downgrade your plan to save money.
Oh, this part is wild. Let's say you are on the advanced plan with 15 active staff, right? And you downgrade to the Grow plan, which only allows 5.
The system obviously has to cut 10 people.
Right, but how does it choose?
Shopify handles that reduction through an automated guillotine. They don't prompt you to carefully select who gets to stay and who gets locked out.
It just chops them automatically.
Yes. The algorithm immediately suspends any pending user invitations first, starting with the newest.
Okay, that makes sense.
Once the pending invites are gone, it starts suspending active users based entirely on who has been inactive the longest.
So if your lead developer hasn't logged in for a few weeks because they are working on a different project, They might be a first one automatically locked out of your store.
Exactly. You have to proactively audit and manually remove users before you hit that downgrade button, rather than letting the system blindly guess your priorities.
Because that automated lockout could severely disrupt a business if you aren't expecting it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so assuming we've navigated the plan limits and we know our user can legally enter the building, we get to the granular part of the process.
Right, deciding exactly how wide to open the door once they are inside.
We are talking about the actual permissions. And this specific landscape recently underwent a massive structural earthquake, didn't it?
It really did.
Hmm.
If you were reading older tutorials online, or if you've inherited a store that has been running for a few years, you are probably used to seeing a flat, straightforward list of checkboxes attached to a user's name.
Yeah, just check this, check that.
That architecture is completely gone now. In December 2024, Shopify shifted the entire platform to role-based access control, commonly referred to as RBAC.
RBAC, right. So how does that work compared to the old way?
Well, instead of attaching loose permissions directly to a person, you are now required to build a structured role, like, say, customer support or warehouse operations.
Okay, so you build the bucket first.
Exactly. And then you assign the human being to that overarching role bucket.
And what's interesting is how they handle the transition for older stores. In May 2025, Shopify automatically converted everyone's legacy flat checkboxes into this new RBAC system.
They did, yeah.
Which means if you log into an older inherited store today, you'll likely see these bizarrely named, highly specific roles that the system just auto-generated, right? Just to match whatever random combination of checkboxes an employee used to have.
Exactly. The conversion script didn't try to intuitively guess your business intent. If you had a user with a highly unique set of 5 random permissions, the system just created a hyper-specific role just for them.
That must look so messy in the dashboard.
It can be.
Yeah.
Today, to keep things organized from scratch, the permission architecture is divided into 19 distinct categories.
19 categories.
And inside those 19 categories, there are roughly 108 individual toggles you can flip, plus 2 very specific toggles dedicated to apps.
So we're talking about 110 distinct choices you have to navigate when building a role. That is a lot.
It is.
I mean, that sheer volume is exactly why store owners get overwhelmed, throw their hands up, and just, give an employee access to everything.
Which is the worst thing you can do.
But there are these weird hard-coded dependencies built into those toggles that will completely trip you up if you aren't paying close attention to how they interact.
Yes, the dependencies are tricky.
For example, let's say I want my warehouse worker to simply manage my stock levels. If I check the inventory box or the catalogs box, the system automatically checks the view products box for me behind the scenes.
Right, it bundles them.
And you physically cannot deselect it. The 2 permissions are permanently welded together.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the underlying logic of that dependency makes complete sense, though.
How so?
Well, a worker cannot realistically count the physical inventory or manage a catalog if the database doesn't allow them to see the actual product listing they're interacting with.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But it heavily catches merchants off guard when they are attempting to be hyper-restrictive with their data.
Because they feel like they are giving away more than they wanted to.
Right. It is important to clarify, though, that View Products deliberately hides the sensitive product cost data. Shopify separated that out.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, if you want an employee to see your underlying profit margins and the cost of goods sold, View Cost is an entirely independent toggle that you have to intentionally activate.
Okay, I love this setup. It's essentially like ordering a fast food combo meal.
A combo meal.
Yeah, like you walk up to the counter and say, I just want the burger, which represents the inventory permission.
Okay, I follow.
But the cashier tells you, sorry, the burger inherently comes with fries. I physically cannot remove the fries from this tray. If you want the burger, you are forced to take the fries, which is the View Products permission.
That is a perfect visualization of how role-based access control groups data.
You have to understand what comes in the combo meal before you hand it to an employee, essentially.
Exactly, and this granular dependent control extends directly to apps, which is a massive security relief.
Oh, yeah. The old app access was terrifying.
In the old days, app access was dangerously broad. Now, you aren't forced to give an agency a skeleton key to your entire app ecosystem.
So you can be much more precise.
Right. You can narrow their access down to a single, specific integration. If you hire a freelance email marketer, you can build a role that restricts them so they only ever see the Klaviyo app, while keeping them entirely locked out of your accounting apps.
That is such a relief.
Furthermore, as a strict baseline safety measure, custom app development is entirely disabled by default across the board.
Oh, really? By default?
Yes, if an agency needs to build a bespoke custom app for your store, you have to intentionally navigate into the settings and unlock that specific capability.
So understanding the theory of these 110 toggles and how they link together is great, right? But let's make this highly practical for the listener.
Let's do it.
How does this apply to the actual human beings you are hiring to run your business today?
Let's take that virtual assistant who is just supposed to be processing your daily orders.
Right, the most common hire. Shopify actually tries to help by giving you a predefined role template for this called customer support, doesn't it?
It does. It automatically grants them access to the homepage, all the orders permissions, and all the draft orders permissions.
And on the surface, that sounds like a perfectly reasonable setup.
It does sound reasonable right up until you read the fine print of what that actually entails.
Wait, what's the catch?
The single word doing all the heavy lifting in that template is all. By granting all orders permissions by default, that predefined template inherently includes the administrative ability to process financial refunds and completely cancel active orders.
Whoa! Which means you are handing a massive amount of unmonitored financial power to a brand new assistant on day one just because you use the default template.
Precisely. The convenience of a predefined role can easily mask a severe security vulnerability.
That is terrifying. Can you change it?
Yes, Shopify does allow you to edit these predefined templates, and you absolutely must review them and strip out refund capabilities if you aren't ready to delegate that level of financial trust.
Okay, good. Now let's look at a completely different profile. Say your accountant or your bookkeeper.
Right.
You would naturally assume there's a simple one-click role for them, but there isn't. To set up an accountant, you have to basically build a custom recipe from scratch.
You do. You grant them access to view payouts under the finance category. You give them analytics so they can see the performance reports, and you grant the ability to view and export orders.
And this is the critical distinction we found in the source. You must strictly withhold the toggles that allow them to edit, refund, or cancel those orders.
Exactly. A bookkeeper only needs to observe the ledger, right? They never need the ability to alter the historical transaction.
But there is a major limitation with giving them analytics access, isn't there?
Oh yes, the all-or-nothing problem.
Right. I can't just isolate one specific report. I can't say, hey, system, only let my accountant see the end of your sales summary. It is a complete all-or-nothing toggle.
Correct. If they have the analytics permission, they have access to every single data report you've ever generated.
And they have the power to duplicate and modify those reports, too.
Which brings up a fascinating structural rule about how this platform handles financial visibility.
Okay, what's the rule?
Finance permissions are strictly locked at the store level. However, if you are a larger merchant operating on Shopify Plus, or you are managing a multi-store organization, the architecture completely changes.
Oh, because of the enterprise setup.
Yes. In those enterprise environments, billing, payments, and high-level financial settings move entirely out of the individual store's admin panel and are governed by organization-wide roles.
So it's handled completely differently depending on your plan.
Right, you really have to understand which architectural tier your business is operating in before you confidently promise an outsourced accountant that they'll be able to see all the ledgers.
This leads us perfectly into one of the most perplexing mysteries we've uncovered in the deep dive regarding digital access.
The tax document contradiction.
Yes. We're talking about giving accountants the data they need, right? So naturally, they need to see official tax documents.
Right, of course.
But Shopify's own internal logic seems to contradict itself on this highly specific point.
It really does. It's confusing.
In one area of the system's documentation, the View Tax Documents toggle is explicitly flagged with a heavy warning stating this is a sensitive permission.
Okay.
But if you consult the dedicated master table that lists all sensitive permissions, View Tax Documents is completely absent. It's just not there.
It vanishes.
So if my accountant literally only needs that one specific tax report, and the system itself is structurally confused about whether that data is classified as sensitive, how do I give them what they need without handing over the keys to the entire analytics dashboard?
It is a highly debated question in merchant circles. And the honest synthesis of how the system operates is this. The architecture simply does not allow you to engineer a single report account.
So I just can't do it.
The database just isn't built to be that granular. If you hand them the analytics key, They get the entire dashboard.
Okay, so how do you handle the contradiction regarding whether tax documents are sensitive?
The absolute safest bet in any digital security framework is to always treat the wider, more restrictive list as the source of truth.
Meaning treat it as sensitive.
Exactly. If one system flag warns that it is sensitive, you must treat it as sensitive.
Better safe than sorry.
A permission that you withhold today can always be quickly granted tomorrow if it's truly blocking a workflow.
Right.
But a permission that quietly exposes your entire historical tax liability, that cannot be ungranted retroactively once that data has been viewed and downloaded.
So you're saying the permanent risk of a retroactive data breach vastly outweighs the minor inconvenience of the accountant just having to email you and ask you to export the specific tax document for them.
Exactly. And speaking of exporting data, the architecture actually includes a brilliant little behavioral safeguard built directly into the export function.
Oh, the digital tripwire.
Yes. If a user with order permissions exports a small batch, say up to 50 orders, the system processes it normally. It just downloads a simple CSV file directly to their local computer.
Okay, business as usual.
But the moment they try to export 51 orders or more, or if they attempt to export data by selecting a broad date range, the system intervenes.
What does it do?
It forces the file to be emailed to the user. It silently triggers a duplicate copy of that exact email to be sent directly to the store owner.
That is so smart. So the system perfectly accommodates a warehouse worker pulling a small batch of morning orders for the shipping floor.
Right.
But it instantly raises a loud alarm if someone tries to walk out the back door with your entire proprietary customer database.
It's a digital tripwire based entirely on behavioral volume.
It is an incredibly elegant solution to internal data theft, honestly. It balances daily operational friction with high-level database security.
It really does.
All right, so we've mapped out the entire life cycle. We know how to hire them, we've navigated the invisible plan limits, we've carefully assigned the 110 RBAC toggles, and we've set up our digital tripwires.
The full setup.
But every single working relationship eventually comes to an end. The way you architect a user's access directly dictates how you must dismantle it.
And honestly, understanding the offboarding process is where most businesses fail.
Because the mechanics of offboarding are often misunderstood.
They are. It is vital to grasp the architectural difference between deactivating an account and removing an account. They are not interchangeable terms.
Okay, let's define them. Start with deactivating.
Deactivating an account is a temporary, entirely reversible state. It immediately stops a user from logging in, which makes it the perfect tool for an employee going on a long leave of absence.
Or a seasonal contractor you know you will hire again for the holiday rush.
Exactly. And crucially, if that specific user holds a secondary Shopify credit card tied to your business, deactivating their account temporarily locks those active physical cards so they can't be used.
Right, but removing an account is the absolute nuclear option.
Yes, removing a user is a permanent destructive action. In fact, the system requires you to manually enter your own overarching owner password just to execute the command.
Just to make sure it cannot be done by accident.
Precisely. If the removed user holds any Shopify credit cards, those cards are completely canceled and destroyed in the system, not just paused.
But here is the vital auditing detail we found. Removing the account completely deletes their access to the store, but it does not delete their historical footprint.
Right, their activity history stays.
Their name and a record of every single administrative action they ever took remains permanently etched into the store's immutable activity log for your future compliance and auditing needs.
That historical log is so important for accountability.
Now, what about dismantling access for those external agencies? The collaborators. Because they don't take up a staff seat, you obviously can't just delete them in the same way, right?
Correct. For collaborator accounts, you do remove them from your active permissions list, but you must also address the specific mechanism that allowed them in to begin with.
The request code.
Exactly. When an agency's contract concludes, you must actively generate a new request code in your admin panel.
What does generating a new one do?
The simple act of generating a new code instantly invalidates the old one. If you fail to do this, that original code remains active.
Oh, wow. So they could just use it again.
It could easily be passed around internally at that agency, or used by a different developer to seamlessly request access to your store again months down the line.
Hold on. Why not just let the 90-day timer do the work?
The timer.
Yeah, I mean, the system automatically boots collaborator access if they haven't logged in for 90 consecutive days. If the system is going to automatically lock them out after 3 months of inactivity anyway, aren't I just wasting my time manually generating new codes and managing their exit?
This raises an important question about how we fundamentally view automated security.
Which is?
The 90-day inactivity timer is not designed to be a professional offboarding process. It is a failsafe.
Just a backup plan.
Exactly. It is the net that catches the forgotten account.
Yeah.
Think about the reality of business operations. If you part ways with an external agency, and perhaps it wasn't an amicable split,
Oh, yeah, that happens.
do you really want to deliberately leave a window open for 3 entire months where a potentially disgruntled former contractor still maintains active access to your proprietary customer data, your underlying theme code, and your daily sales figures?
When you put it like that, absolutely not.
Relying on a passive 90-day timer leaves your business exposed to a quarter of a year of completely unnecessary vulnerability.
Yeah.
You have to treat access revocation as a deliberate, proactive checklist that you execute the very day the contract ends.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? The core takeaway here is that managing digital access is not an emotional exercise about whether you trust the person you just hired.
No, it's not about trust at all.
It is entirely a structural exercise about clarity and architecture. It requires taking a breath and strategically matching the exact digital mechanism, a permanent staff seat, versus a temporary collaborator badge to the actual real-world job.
Exactly right.
It means carefully navigating the hard-coded quirks of those 19 permission categories, so you only hand over the burger and never the fries if the job doesn't strictly require it.
Combo meal rule.
And above all, it means having a definitive, proactive exit plan to dismantle that access the moment the work is finished.
That is the perfect synthesis of the mechanics. But to leave you with one final provocative thought, there's a massive blind spot in how most people handle offboarding developers.
Ooh, what is it?
We know exactly how to permanently remove an agency developer who built a custom app for your store. You just revoke their collaborator access.
Right, simple enough.
But what remains completely undocumented and highly ambiguous is what actually happens to that custom app's underlying API access when the human developer's account is permanently deleted.
Oh, because apps operate as independent machine-to-machine integrations, right?
Yes. So deleting the human doesn't necessarily sever the machine's access. Does the app continue to run headless? Does the integration immediately crash?
Who technically owns the ongoing data pipeline once the creator is removed from the system?
Exactly. If that API access continues to run silently in the background after the agency is fired, that is a massive hidden vulnerability.
That is a critical puzzle that you really cannot afford to ignore as a store owner.
The challenge for you is to definitively lock down the ownership and the API continuity of any custom integrations before the developer's contract ends, not after you hit the delete button on their account.
Right.
I highly recommend you log in and investigate the architecture of your own store's active integrations today.
Because at the end of the day, you would never change the physical metal locks on your front door without making absolutely sure the cash register still plugs into the wall. Make sure you know exactly who is holding your digital keys, what doors they are structurally allowed to open, and what truly happens to the wiring when they finally hand those keys back. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.